Welcome to episode 13 of Knitting Not Screaming, my little craft podcast. My name is Tanis. I live towards the south coast of the UK. If I say I'm probably like a 15-minute drive from Portsmouth, that's a general idea. I'm primarily going to show you knitting. I've got quite a lot to show you actually this week, which is unusual for me. I've finished some things, small things, but finish all the same. If you can hear sirens in the background, I apologise. It's because I glamorously live very near an A3 slip road. So let's start off with I've got a pile of things next to me to show you, and I've not really organised it brilliantly well, it must be said. So, I might have to. My little cat wants to sit down. Hold on. Shall I move the handbag? Sorry, Daddy. Sorry about that. I had a handbag on the seat that my cat's trying to have a little snooze on. Right. Let's get on with it. So, if you've watched before, I also want to apologise for. Look at this crazy blusher disaster I'm having today. Oh, I don't know, I just went absolutely loopy with a blusher this morning. And now I look like a crazy woman. Anyway, which is why I've got a tissue in my hand as well to trying to wipe it off. And I couldn't face taking all my makeup off and starting again from scratch. Not really me. Now then, Sophie scarf. I've told you about these before. I'm making a set of 7, but now I'm thinking I might have to make 8. It seems to go up. The number goes up every week. As a gift for people I work with, and I've realised that I need to make 7, not 6. But because 7's an odd number, will that fit in the box nicely? Probably not. So I might have to make 8. But since I haven't bought the box yet, I may be a bit ahead of myself there. So this is number 1, which you've seen before, which is I'm making them all in sort of pastry colours, and I've got some brown pipe cleaners being delivered. They should arrive tomorrow, and I'm going to pop those inside them so that it gives them like a little bend, so that they get more of that. I really like that sort of croissant look that you see people do with this on Instagram and what have you. So this is the second one that I finished, and this was a little leftover bit of yarn, which was from a dye who's not dyeing anymore. She was Once Upon a Skein Yarns, and I know there's another dye who's got a very similar name, but the person I'm talking about was based in Basingstoke in Hampshire, and she does dye, but she only dyes for her own amusement now rather than to sell. But this is lovely because I thought of this when I bought it as being really like a strawberry patch, but also now I'm thinking it's quite a lot like, you know, when you get that panettone that's got bits of angelica in it. And then I thought, well, it's kind of a pastry colour, and you can see the white as cream, and the red and the green, there's like candied fruits in it. So that's number 2. Oh, I won't bother rolling that up now. I'm just gonna, not nicely. Well, I will. I'll roll it up nicely. And then the third one, I nearly cracked into a new ball of yarn, but I really want to use up the scraps that I've got that are in the right sort of colours. There you go. Look. That looks really cute, doesn't it? So my third one is in that sort of toasty colour, and then this is, I've just realised I've left something over there. There you go. This darker brown is the leftover bit of the Strictly socks that I was making for the mister, which are dark brown with coloured stripes. I'm going to stand up and walk over and grab them actually. And I can't remember what the other one, this one is a different biscuity coloured yarn, and that is left over from Shawlography, last year's Stephen West MCAL, and that is a fruitful fusion yarn. Now I was going to do it with two, like one garterage of each, but it wasn't working out brilliantly well. It was too jiggedy jaggedy, and then I didn't even bother trying for, so I've just done each repeat. I switched colours. So this one is going to be like a pan au chocolat. In my head, it's a pan au chocolat. See, I think that looks quite, that's nice as well, isn't it? I hope they like them. There's quite a lot of effort going into this, but it's not their responsibility to like things that I've made without asking them whether they want them or not, is it really? Bear with me 1 second while I grab those socks. Sorry about that. So yeah, quite a long way to go. I reckon I need to make probably about one Sophie scarf a week, which is pushing it a bit, isn't it? But I've still got quite a bit of this yarn left. That's about 10 grams. Was it 10 or was it 20? I think that was about 10 grams of the dark brown. And then I've got this chocolatey coloured mini skein. I've got some more of that one, a strawberry patch one, which I can stripe in with something. And I've got this, well, I've got some yellow, which is literally the yellow from the socks, from the you know, the Red Jet Perfect socks, where you get a yellow bit to show you where you need to start your second sock from. It's that, and there's a bit at each end, so, and quite a lot, so I can do like a little custody stripe in the middle of them. And then I've got this, which I could get another 3. I could get 3 Sophie scarves out of that. So that's a 400 gram skein. So at the moment, I don't think I'm going to need to dip into another full skein. I have got one that was supposed to be a pair of socks for the mister, because he really wanted brown socks, and I've been resisting making them because I thought they were quite boring. Yeah, so that skein is actually earmarked for something else, so hopefully I won't have to dip into it. But if I do, it's not a disaster, because it's not perfectly what he wants anyway, so that doesn't matter, does it? It doesn't count. So yeah, I've not mentioned, have I? I've also got an Etsy shop where I've now realised I've left that bag upstairs as well. Oh, what a disaster. I've got an Etsy shop where I sell mainly 1940s style hair snoods, but also vintage inspired knits, and project bags for knitters, so feel free to go and check that out. I won't bother running upstairs and grabbing the one that I've made, that I've finished recently. Oh, and embroideries, I do embroideries too, because it's very similar to one that I've shown you before, in that it's yellow with polka dots, with white polka dots, and it's got a contrast yellow base and the drawstring bit. But that one's got a cream lining that doesn't have pockets, because, well, mainly because I was using up oddments of fabric and I didn't have enough to put a pocket in it. But to be honest, when I use a project bag, I very rarely use the pockets, and if I do use them, then they just end up I get the amp with them a bit sometimes. I get my wick a bit, because I put things in there and I forget I put them in there, and then when I want to get them out again, I feel like I'm rummaging around too much for them. So yeah, that's in the shop if you're interested in it. And in fact, I need to retake the photos of that, because I took particularly bad photos of that one. Anyway, I should make a note of that really, but I'm not going to. So my Snoods, I've restocked all the black ones, just one of each size, and at the moment I'm working on yellow. So it's a nearly finished pale yellow Snood, and I think this one's a medium. So that will be going into my shop once I put elastic around the outside, and there'll be a bow on the top. So when that's done, that'll be going into my Etsy shop. Probably not until tomorrow now, because today's Sunday, and on Sunday's the only day that I don't work really. I just tend to do fun stuff on Sundays. I'm going a little sip of my tea. I don't know if I've said before, I work from home, and the mister, he works quite a long way from here, so when he goes out to work, he does sort of a shift pattern, and he's gone from like 5 in the morning to about 7 at night. So I'm here on my own quite a lot, so this is the most talking I will do all week probably. I mean, I talked to, don't get me wrong, I talked to Mister and I talked to the cat, but the cat doesn't really put up with an awful lot of chat, to be honest, and there's only so much whittering on about projects that I can inflict on the Mister. I mean, he doesn't complain, he's interested, he's actually interested in what I do, but you know what I'm saying, when you work from home, you don't have that general chit chat all day long thing. Not all day long, gosh, I know, like when you work in an office you're not chatting all day long, but you are talking more than you think you are. And I've only noticed that from working from home and not really talking to people, but I must say I much prefer working from home. I get much more done, and it's just easier, and I don't have any annoying commute to do, and it just makes me, when I'm happier, I work better. So yeah, I would never go back to working in an office again if I can help it. Never ever. Right, I've shown you these before when these were whips, but these are, you know, Ali from Little Drops of Wonderful podcast. If you don't watch that one, I think you really should, because she's cracking. She does every year. What did she say? I think she said in a recent post, I think she says this is her 8th year. She's unbelievable, isn't it? Anyway, she does a knit along every year for Strictly Come Dancing, where you knit socks while you're watching Strictly, anything to do with Strictly, podcasts, what have you. Also, cheating's really encouraged. She has prizes for people that do really good cheats, but I really struggle with the cheating. I can't. Pathetic, isn't it? But I can't cheat very well. So, but luckily, especially in these early stages when there's like 10 million contestants, the shows were really long. Like I think last night's one was like nearly 2 hours. So you can get a lot of sock knitting done in that time. So I've finished my first pair. These are for the Mister. He asked for brown socks. Oh, I do. I always think that looks really funny. A short row heel, which is based on, these are cuff down. These and 72 stitches. And it's the Regia Perfect yarn, and I can't remember what the colour of this is called, but I just sort of think of it as like a coffee shop. It's like the bright colours would be the mugs. I love that bright orange and this sort of burgundy colour, and then the rounded toe I like as well. I use Louise Tilbrook's bob socks pattern for the heel and the toe on my vanilla socks, because I just think that works perfectly. I mean, I haven't bothered to memorise it, I still have to look at the pattern, but I don't feel like I need to memorise it because I've got the pattern. I know some people do, but I've got that kind of, you know, the character Sherlock Holmes, he's got this theory that like he doesn't know like the names of all the planets or what order they're in and stuff, because it has no bearing on his day-to-day life. It doesn't really, you don't need to know that. It has no practical use. And he was like, his thing was like, your brain must have a finite amount of space, so everything useless that you put in your brain pushes out space that could be used for something more useful. And that's kind of how I feel about memorising toe decreases. Although I can kind of, only because I've made so many of them, I can kind of do these from the heels and toes almost on instinct now. So that's quite good. I mean, I don't really need to have very much that's important in my brain other than have I fed the cat yet and is it time to put the dinner on. We tag team on dinners. When the mister's working, I do all the dinners, and then when he's on his off days, he does all the dinners. So it's a me dinner day today, so it's meatball pasta. Well, meatless meatball pasta because I'm vegetarian and Andy's happy to go along with it. Now, oh, I'm so happy with this. If you've been watching all year, I had a hankering for a loom, but they're quite pricey really. I mean, and I swore I wasn't going to buy one, and then I went to Unravel and I bought one, but the mister paid for it as my birthday present, so that was good because it was, I bought a few little bits and bobs to go with it, and that came to like nearly £200 in the end. So this is Be Kind, because this is only my second ever weaving project. My first attempt I used a cheap acrylic yarn just as a practice run, and that I think was a mistake because it was all, I mean it would have been wibbly wobbly anyway because it's my first ever go, but it's not as forgiving as wool, is it? Because you can't block it and have it bloom and sort itself out. So this one is my second ever weaving project and I'm really happy with it. It's I bought a rigid heddle loom from Ashford from a company called the Threshing Barn, who were excellent, and the woman on the stall was really nice and really patient with me and talked to me for ages about it before I bought. I'm so happy with this. Now my edges are still wibbly wobbly, but on the whole, I mean, you can't deny that that is recognisably a scarf. I did the stripes just in a, I like randomness. So I just changed colour when someone walked past my house, or if I heard, because we're so near to there's a major road, that slip road is like behind the house, behind the garden, behind the garages, then there's the whole like embankment stuff with all the trees and stuff, and then there's the road. So it is physically quite a way away from here, but you can hear it quite clearly. So because it's a slip road going on to roundabout, people love rear-ending each other or having near misses. So you do quite often, you'll hear, and we're near, we're not too far away from, there's a fire station and an ambulance station not too far, like in this town. So you hear sirens, and because obviously it's a motorway, you hear sirens every now and then, and people beeping their horns. So every time someone beeps their horn, or I hear a siren, or if I'm weaving in here and I can see outside, if someone walks past the house, that's when I change colour. And that's how I like randomness to work, because it's not actually possible to be random, is it? You need something to make you random. Anyway, I'm waffling on. I did a 3-inch fringe. I love doing the fringe. Knotting the fringe, I think, might be my favourite bit. If anyone has got any tips how to stop that, like, I'm struggling to make my edges even. I don't know if it's just a concentration thing or something you get better with in time. I mean, mine's better than the acrylic one was. Also using 2 different types of yarn, although they're both 4-ply, there's like a real big difference in gauge for the dark reds. The warp threads, the up and downy ones, we're using this, and that's a West Yorkshire Spinners Signature Zandra Rhodes colour, and I think that was called something like Botanical Forest or something odd like that, but it's grey, red and lilac-y mauvey colours. and where it's the red, you get this nice sort of striped effect, and where it's on itself, it goes almost like a 50s sort of, you know, those tabletops that were sort of scritchy, scratchy lines, crisscrossed. I really love the effect, and it's long enough to be a, you know, one of those sort of pull through scarves. It's quite nice, isn't it? And you can wrap it around a couple of times and tie it even. So I think I've got the length right. And then look, we've just got enough length for the tassely bits there, and to tuck it into your jacket. So I'm really pleased with it, and obviously it's got the warmth of a hand knit scarf, but not the same sort of bulk. So I love it. I'm really pleased with it. I might give it to the mister. Eventually I want to make them good enough to be able to sell them, and I want to use scrap yarn to make like quite nice randomly stripy scarves. But I've got to get this issue with my edges sorted out. So if anyone's got any links to YouTube tutorials to help with that, I'd really appreciate it. There aren't any weaving classes near me that I can get to. So this is the trouble with moving so far from London. You forget, when you commute into London and you've got that annual train ticket, like the world is your oyster, you can get wherever you like. Oh, see, oyster's a bit of a pun for people working in London. Travel pun. If you have no connection with London, apologies. I can't be bothered to explain it to you. Yeah, I don't want to go to an actual class. Well, I would like to go to an actual class, but I probably can't be bothered to leave the house. So yeah, YouTube tutorials. I don't know if it's one of those things where you just got to get your eye in and get your hands used to it. I think it probably is, because that's a big improvement on the first one, but not a big enough improvement for my liking. So yeah, I'm really happy with that. That's all my... Oh, no, it's not. Oh, I'm such a liar. I've got one more Etsy thing to show you, and then we're whips. We're whipping away. I finished an embroidery. This is my own design. It's obviously a vintage style woman wearing a snood. You see the tie. So just a little decoration piece, and it's on vintage yarn. Oh gosh, I'm yarn obsessed. It's on a vintage fabric, which is this lovely white on white floral, which I'm quite keen on. And I like the way, you know, obviously it shows through on her face. I like that effect a lot. I've backed it with this sort of sunshine yellow felt, which is sort of blanket stitched. I had a bit of a disaster with this. When I backed it before, it had a brighter yellow back, and I didn't blanket stitch it on. I thought I'd just use a hot melt glue, which obviously got everywhere and totally ruined the back of it and ruined the hoop. And then I thought, well, I'll cover that up with putting a bit of braid around it. So, not being someone to learn their lesson easily, I decided to hot melt glue that on too. And then that was horrendous. I mean, that was worse than horrendous. It just didn't work at all. So I had to, and then because I'd glued things, glue had stuck to some of the white fabric, but on the reverse. So that was a devil of a job, getting it out of the hoop that I ruined and cleaning it all up and it all being nice again. Oh, so yeah, won't be making that mistake again. Because I thought, like, why do people bother to blanket stitch it on? That's so long-winded and must take forever. And now I know. Now I know. So let's get on with the whips, shall we? I have my temperature blanket to show you. September had our hottest day of the year. So I've got one stripe in this that's bright orange, and it's all obviously not, it's a, oh, you know, it's all a bit worrying with the climate change and all that, isn't it? It makes it very obvious. So look, it's so big, I've had to point it up into a big fat ball. This was originally going to be a scarf, but it's way too big. I massively underestimated how huge it would be, because instead of using 4-ply yarn, I chose DK yarn, and I'm doing the, instead of doing an average temperature, I'm doing the lowest and the highest temperature of the day, and I think I should probably have just picked the highest to make it more manageable, but I like it being the lowest and the highest of the day. So mine is massive, and then I thought, well, I'll just use it as a bed throw, and I'll make lots of these strips and I'll sew them all together, and it'll make the most gorgeous bed throw in a slightly terrifying way. But I rolled it out because the mister kept asking me how big it was, and it's actually longer than my living room, so I would need to buy a bigger house to have a bed big enough to put this on. So I think what I'm going to do with it is I'm going to carry on with it, and I'm going to carry on doing it every year. This is my first one, but I want to do more of them and still piece them together, but they'll have to go on the bed sort of folded up and be like super cozy, because it is absolutely ginormous. So here is September. Oh, I don't know if you could see. Could you? Oh, she's walked across. Sorry, my little cat just walked across the tripod. It's not a tripod. It's a stand, because it doesn't have 3 legs. It's got one big leg. So where there's a progress keeper, that's 1 month. So that is September. She wants me to play there now. She's knocking a ball around, which is unfortunate timing, really, Lou the bum. So there, that orange, that's the hottest day of the year in September, and all these bright colours are very hot days. And then we're now obviously into October, and October is calming down a lot, so we're getting some grey in now, where we're getting like some colder overnights, and that icy blue, that's a cold as well, that's a colder colour. The blues and greens and yellows are more like sort of springtime temperatures, which would be about right for, well, not about right, there's not disastrous for this time of year. But I love October. I think October's probably one of my favourite months, because the temperature's about right for me, and I like that it's getting a little bit chillier, so you can wear like knits and things and knee-length boots and being cosy and drinking hot chocolate, all that sort of stuff. That's all my thing. Sitting indoors, reading books, having a lovely cosy time. Whereas in summer, I'm generally just like a really horrible, sweaty red mess. I turn into like the amazing blob woman in summer, and I never know what to wear. I don't like summer clothes. They don't suit me, and I struggle with them, frankly. I struggle with what I'm going to wear my everything, head to toe. Trouble, all just trouble. Autumn, much happier. Winter, totally fine. Autumn's my favourite then. So that's the old temperature blanket. I've done today's colours, so that's good. I hadn't missed a day until we got to September, and there's been a couple of days when I've looked at, because I write the temperatures down in my handbag diary, and there's been a couple of days when I've realised that I've not done the day before, but luckily I found a website that does historical weather, so for the UK, so I was able to salvage it. But I'm just going to have to just be a bit more diligent about it, aren't I? Be a bit more careful about not missing out on things. Where are the chuff of my socks? What have I done with my Strictly socks? I've got a current pair of Strictly socks that I'm working on, and I've put them down somewhere and I don't know where. Bear with me. Oh, because they're not my best whip. Hold on. There they are. Sorry if you had to see my... I don't think you would have seen my bum in the air when I was looking for those. But if you did, I can only apologise. So this one is a double whammy because this is a purchase. So I bought West Yorkshire Spinners Signature Sparkle 4-ply in Fairy Lights because one of my local yarn stores, we're quite well served for yarn shops around here. It's seeded in Southsea, which is a lovely place. If you get a chance to visit Southsea, you must. Oh, and they're having one of their away days in December in the Queen's Hotel, which is a really smashing, beautiful hotel on right by the front of Southsea. And I think it's on the 3rd of December, sometime around then. And you go for the day and you have like an afternoon tea, and they have a room where you just craft all day, and she has like a goodie bag, and so it's a really lovely day. And there are spaces, so if you're nearby or you can get near, I would book that because that's lovely. Anyway, I've gone on wandering off again. They have had a bit of a problem with flooding in their shop, which is absolutely disastrous, isn't it? I really feel for them because I think, you know, it's been tough times because they have to close when it's, you know, because and get the electrics checked and all that. And when a shop is closed, it's closed. The till's not ringing. You're not paying your staff. You know, you're still paying your staff, but you're not getting any money in to pay them with. So I think this has happened 3 or 4 times this year, and very unusually they said we'd really appreciate it if anyone wants to buy a gift voucher, if they could do it like now. So I did. I bought a gift voucher for myself, and then once I'd reopened, I went in and spent it. And I bought this. This is that Fairy Lights yarn. So this is my second pair of Strictly socks. I'm doing toe up socks, which is again a Louise Tilbrook design. I think it's called something like the Easy Peasy sock, something like that. And it's actually, is it a free pattern? It might be. It might be. I'm not sure. This one DPN holder. It's from Pickle Lily on Etsy. You see, and I love her. I love what she does. I've got quite a few of these. This is my only metallic gold one though, which I reserve for Strictly Sockalong time of year. And I love the magic of self-patterning yarn, because when you look at that just looks like that'll just be an absolute mess when you knit it up. Like, it wouldn't be that great at all. But when you do knit it, you get this magical thing happens. Oh, isn't that? I just think that's brilliant. It's so clever, and I love it. So I'm whizzing through these because, again, it's a vanilla sock. So you just knit, round and round and round and round you go. While I'm watching Strictly, and you know, I've only been knitting these for a few days, and I feel like I've got most of the first foot done already. I've started doing that thing that I've seen podcasters do on YouTube, where they put stitch markers in every 10 rows to keep track of like where you are, like how many rows you do for an average foot. And I've always thought, oh, I don't really see the point because I've got my foot. So if I need to measure against something, there's my foot. I'll just use that. But then I've kind of been won round by the idea of you knit one, you put these in every 10 rows, and then you just make a note somewhere of how many rows is an average sock length for you. And then when you knit the second one, you take the marker off this sock and put it on the other sock as you knit it. So once you've transferred all of your foot ones, then it's time to do your heel. And instead of having to actually keep measuring it, although with toe up socks it's super easy to measure it because you just slip it on your foot, which I do happen to have with me at all times. Hey Lulu, my little pretty cat. I think she really wants me to play with her. You right, Pudding? She's been on my lap this morning. It's the time of year when she starts sitting on my lap. She's not normally much of a lap cat, to be honest. But we had a very happy couple of hours this morning. Yeah. Oh. If only she would jump up on my lap and you could see her. Lulu, whatever it is that you're about to do, please don't. Oh, all right then. Right. She's gone to stand behind the TV. Now, if you can hear that, that's my tumble dryer going, because it was beautiful here this morning, really beautiful sunlight, and I thought, well, I'll put a wash on, because British Gas are doing that thing where you get half price energy on a Sunday between 11 and 4, so I thought, right, I'll put the towels on and then I'll hang them out, and then it started going all grey and drizzly, so I'm gonna, can you see her? No, you can't see her yet. So I'm going to tumble dry them as well, but it's on the spin cycle now, which is very useful. Now then, oh yeah, I've started another embroidery because obviously I finished one. You all right there, Lulabum? So I finished this one, so it was time to move on to the second one. And this one is my own design again. I've really only roughed out a little bit of it. I've changed my mind about the arm position. He's a little cutie mouse. I like him a lot. And his tummy is going to have something fun in it. And then I'm going to do something floral around the outside. Or maybe even Christmassy. I don't know, I haven't decided yet. But I have done like the little shiny pinks of his ears and one ear. Hey, pretty bum. Oh, can you see? Oh, you can see her little bum. Sorry for the view of my cat's bum. I'm not sorry. What else have I got to show you? Right. I showed you before. Oh, I'm dropping everything now. That's because Lulu's come by and made me go all anxious that she was going to knock things over. Now, I was knitting, if you remember that handbag. I'm not going to bother showing you the poodle that I was knitting because I haven't really got that much further with it. There's not an awful lot to show you. But there was this like lovely handbag pattern in the same booklet. So, hang on, let me just show you the picture and you'll see. So that's the poodle I'm making. And I'm making a white one, so absolutely no point in getting that out of the bag. And I've only really done some of the head. But there's this lovely handbag pattern in this booklet. It's really nice. But if you remember, I was the pattern asks you to knit it in double knit yarn, fine, but holding 3 strands together, which is not fine. That just got on my wick like you would not, I knew it would, got on my wick like you would not believe, and I kept missing one of the 3 strands, and then there'd be like a loop, and I thought I'll be fine, I can just go back and fix that when it's finished, because that would just be on the inside, you know, there'll be lining and you won't see that at all. So if I just sew fix that, that'll be fine. And the more I was knitting it, the more I thought that's not fine, I'm not really happy with that at all. And I was not knitting it because it was getting on my wick so much that I was avoiding touching it. So I frogged it and I've started again, but this time with one strand. I've stuck to the same needles, which may or may not be a mistake, don't know, don't care, because if that is a mistake and it's too grinny, I think that will be quite a nice feature with the lining. I'm going to use, look, oh, it's so much nicer. Well, the other one was nicer in a way because it was a big fat chunky, and I could have just bought some super chunky yarn to make the equivalent size. But super chunky yarn's quite expensive really for, all the super chunky that I could find was quite expensive for for the yardage you get, and also not really, I couldn't find any colours that I liked, and I've already got this yarn, so why not use it? So yeah, it's using a fisherman's rib, which is a good sort of, gives you the same sort of squish and look as a single one colour brioche. Well, it's similar to it. I mean, if it was brioche, it would have more density because of the, the way that it's wrapped. But I'm really happy with it, and I have in about 2 evenings knit as much on this as I had on a few weeks of knitting it when I was holding 3 strands together. Whether I've got enough yarn to finish it, I don't know. But we will soon find out, I expect. But I'm much happier with that now, and I do feel like, and we'll come to this later, I do feel like I'm happier about frogging projects now. I used to just sort of battle on with things, or they end up going in a project bag and not being touched for years. And now, I think it was because of the amount of time that you put on it, the amount of time that you put into a project, and I felt like it was wasteful to, pull it out and just feel like you're throwing all that work away. But if you don't ever complete it, you're also throwing all those hours away, aren't you? So what's the I mean, really, what is the point? You might as well, while you're avoiding knitting it, you might as well pull it out and make something that you do like with that yarn, because that's the real waste, is it sitting in a project bag never seeing the light of day, isn't it? Really that's what I've convinced myself with. Anyway, this tea is stone cold now. Ooh, even the cup's cold. Oh, that was not very nice. But poor old throat. I've not made a lot of progress on these, to be honest. These are the slipper socks that I'm making for the mister. These are made using that Regia super soft yarn that feels kind of unplied. So it will make a really nice pair of slipper socks. I'm going to do a cut-in afterthought heel, which I've never done before and need to learn how to do, obviously. It's this stuff. Who's it by? Rico Designs Superba Twirl. And this doesn't have a name. Colour 1. Which is just like, you see. And it was £8.50. And this is from a different local yarn store called My Yarnery in Havant, which is pretty much the closest decent sized town to me. So I've nearly finished the second one. Look, I'm so close to it. I'm going to be doing the sock. I'm going to be doing the toe. Look, there's a toe, the other one. That's how far away I am from it. So once I've done a toe in a different colour, which was, I think, was an Opal yarn, which I'm not even sure if they still make. That was like, the name I can't even remember because I've lost the band. And it was called something like newsprint. It was something to do with newspapers, because it was all sort of the sort of colours of paper and typeface and stuff. So yeah, I do need to learn how to actually do a cut-in heel before I cut in for the heel. But that's going on well-ish, because I've not actually been doing a lot on it. I'm going to put some rows in Saturday, and maybe this afternoon I could, it's 2:30. I could maybe finish that toe, get to that toe and get that done before the mister gets home from work. That'd be a nice little achievement there. In this bag we have something I've got done nothing on at all. This is going to be the V-neck box. Look at the mess of my yarn. That's so funny. Oh dear. This is going to be a Hohi Locatelli V-neck boxy. And I've started making this before and frogged it because I made an absolute hash of it. It's got these like little ridged bits here on the shoulders, and I made an absolute hash of it. And then I was trying to convince myself it'd be okay, like I always do, and it really wasn't. It was a mess. So I frogged it, and then I started making this like longer line V-neck, slightly dolman sleeved vintage jumper pattern. But I thought because the box is so wide, and according to the pattern, it looked like I had enough yarn to do that instead, and I'd nearly finished it and I didn't. It was really clear that I wasn't going to have enough to do the sleeves, and I could have just striped in the sleeves, but it wasn't looking great either, to be honest. I wasn't massively keen on the way the pattern was working out, and I wouldn't have had enough to do the stitches around the neck in the navy blue. So I'm in half a mind with this to frog it and use the yarn for something completely different. I'm not really sure. I could go either way still on that one, to be honest. And I'm not sure that the V-neck boxy will really suit me because I'm quite busty, and because it's a big baggy thing, that's just gonna look like a marquee on me, maybe. It's difficult, but I want the thing. But when I wear the thing, if I don't wear the thing, what's the point in having the thing? Difficult. Life's difficult. It's a hobby. Right then, I've just got something to show you that I bought. Then there's a little bit of chat about books. Oh, Lulu's back again. And then I need to go off and play with my cat. So this is one of the people that works at Seeded Yarn Shop in Southsea. Seeded in Southsea has started dyeing yarn, and she has made this. It's lovely, isn't it? Her business name is Nori, and this colourway is called Southsea Lights, and it's inspired by the Southsea seafront and the coloured lights that they have up at Christmas and what have you. I must say, I've got dye lot 2. I chose that one because it's quite light. It's got all little speckles of colour in it as well. Some of them are much darker than this. There seems to be a massive difference between dye lots, but I really like this one, and I really like that she uses this image on her labels, because those are the Victorian lights that are all along Southsea seafront, and they're so pretty. And it's got this this is like a little shield up there, but it's got a kind of heart-shaped look to it too, which I love. And they're just, because it's sort of curved, there's like this sweep of them along as you walk on the front, and they look so pretty. And in the Christmas time, they string up fairy lights between them, and they're just multicoloured ones, and they just look so lovely. So I think all the locals have fallen in love with this. I won't say her first name because she doesn't seem to use it on her business at all. So so I won't. But yeah, I've met her and she's a really nice woman. Like, actually, I bumped into her. She was at Umbrella for Autumn, and yeah, really nice, friendly person, and going to be a rising star, I think, in the old yarn dyeing world, because that's so pretty. And that really is like the colours of, because Southsea Beach has areas that are quite green in it. There's like lots of things growing on more up towards the easterny end. So it's really good, and like little rocks and anyway, it's lovely. But I haven't decided what I'm going to make with that. I want to do something special with it. I want to do something, because I so love it, I want to do something where that is the thing that really shines. So I don't want to mix it with other colours too much. I was kind of thinking of just doing like a tiny tassels with it, so that you've got it all there. But then I was also thinking I'd quite like to do another Money Honey knitted turban So I might do that. I think that would look really pretty. So I'm not, I don't know. If anyone knows of any one skein designs, or designs where maybe if it's got more than one skein, that's fine, but one is really the dominant, one's the superstar, and the others are just like, you know, backup. Feel free to suggest things. So yeah, I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure what I'm going to make with it, but I want it to be special. I want it to be something that I grab before other things, really. Now then, all I've got to talk to you about now are things like books and personal stuff and what have you. So my current read is this book, The Little Stranger by Sarah Waters. I love Sarah Waters. She is probably my favourite ever author. My favourite book of hers, and probably my favourite book completely, is Fingersmith, which is brilliant. This is about a family, like an upper middle class family, who have sort of fallen on hard times, and their local doctor, who's a local guy, who gets kind of like tangled up in their lives because he goes to see them. He remembers them from when he was a child in the village, and he goes around to see them professionally, and they're, or is he just sort of bumps into someone? Anyway, he goes to the house, and then he gets it kind of like, he feels quite like not responsible for them, but they kind of touch him in a way that he feels this connection with them, and he becomes not quite their friend. He's still like the doctor, but there's something odd going on in the house, and it's centered around the son, who's a little bit younger than the doctor, and he's been injured in the First World War. His legs have been quite badly injured, and he's suffered PTSD, although it's not called that in this book because they don't know that term yet. And he's had a breakdown, and he's been quite unwell, but he's getting a lot better. But then he believes that there's a poltergeist or some sort of entity like that in the house that's centered on him, and it's all about really whether it's actually his mental health issues coming back, or whether there is something wrong with the house. And it seems everyone seems to be taking it as it's in his mind so far. I'm about halfway through, and it's not really clear. Well, that's what I love about Sarah Waters' books. It's not really clear which way she's going to go with it. It could literally go one way or the other, but it's got a creepiness to it, a spookiness that's not horror. I don't like horror, but I love that. I've also read recently for the Digital Readers Group, which is Hampshire Library's online book club, where you either read the audio book or the ebook version of something that's chosen every month. And this month we had 9 Lives by Peter Swanson, which is heavily based on Agatha Christie's And Then There Were None. So it's 9 people who all receive the same letter, which is literally just a list of their names, and then they gradually get murdered. It's all right. It's not a bad book, but it wasn't good enough to make me ever want to read another one of his books. Although I've seen online, lots of people who have read it said that that it's not his best, and that they much preferred some of his other books. But you know what it's like, you know when you've read a book by an author and you wasn't that bothered by it, and even if other people say like they've got books that are much better, once you've read one that you weren't that keen on, you never really, there's so many books to read that it's pretty unlikely that I'm going to read another one of his now, which might be unfair, but that's the way it goes. The other one I read was I'm Not Scared by Niccolo Amaniti. Apologies if I'm mispronouncing that. It's translated from the original Italian, and I'm told it's been, I don't speak any Italian, so, but I'm told I understand it's been translated very well. It's got the essence of the original very well, apparently, and it's told from the perspective of a 9-year-old boy, which I thought I would find super annoying. This was recommended on the Sarah Cox BBC 2 one, what's it called, Between the Pages, which is a really good show. And they loved it on there, and I was a bit about it because I'm not really that child friendly, to be honest. So books written from the perspective of a child, I thought would just be not really my cup of tea at all. But it's not. It's really good. It's about a boy who, you know, it's from a really small town, like a small village, and they spend all summer hanging out with the other kids, as you do. And one of the kids has got sort of quite domineering tendencies. He's edging towards a bully, really. And then our kid takes on, they have like races and things, and then there's a forfeit if you come last. And the slightly bullying kid engineers it so this girl loses, and it's not really fair. So our kid takes on the forfeit for her, and in doing the forfeit he comes across a pit, and in the bottom, in like a sort of secluded area, and in that pit there's a child, and it turns out that child's been kidnapped. But you're desperate for this kid to tell someone in authority, and he so nearly does, and he just gets sort of like he nearly tells his dad, but his dad's like, oh, like he's in the middle of something, he's like, later, and he just doesn't tell him. And because he's 9, he doesn't see things obviously as an adult would, so he thinks this child has been put in this underground sort of cavern thing, in a pit, really, because he's mad and dangerous, and his family can't have him at home because he's like a dangerous mad dog kind of thing. And it's just it's really sad, but it's also really good. It's really good. And he doesn't want to tell, he doesn't tell the other kids about it because he wants it to be his thing. It's like his secret, like he's got this child is almost like a toy to him. Oh, it's a really good book. I definitely recommend that one. Much as though I thought I wouldn't enjoy it, I actually really did. Now, on TV, we've just finished watching The Woman in the Wall. It's alright. It's pretty good. I don't know how I feel about the ending, really. I don't know. It was alright. The Mister really enjoyed it. He really enjoyed it, and he really enjoyed the ending as well, but it lost me a bit in the last couple of episodes. I watched as well the TV adaptation with Olivia Colman of Great Expectations, which I know loads of people really hated, and what I didn't like about it was a lot of it was filmed in what I would call Tom Hardy whisper vision. You know, they all will talk like that. It's all done in that hoarse and very dimly lit. So you can't always see what's going on properly, and you can't always hear properly what's going on. Apart from that, though, I really loved it. I haven't read the book, so maybe I did try to read the book once, but it was when I was much, much younger, and Estella was such an obnoxious character in the book that I couldn't carry on with it. She was too cruel for me, and I couldn't carry on with reading it. So I loved that. That's on iPlayer, BBC iPlayer, if you want to watch that. And I watched the film version of Far From the Madding Crowd, which I also really enjoyed. And again, I haven't read the book, so I don't know if that's an accurate portrayal of the book, but that's how I feel about it. It would have been my mum's birthday in October. She's long passed. So on the day that was her birthday, I like to go out and have the sort of day that we would have had together. This year, on her birthday, it absolutely piddled down, and so I just didn't leave the house. But the day after, I went along to the next town along, and I went out for lunch and had a poot around the shops, and I bought myself a new dyer, because my mum had a thing about stationery, loved stationery. So I went out, went to a greasy spoon, which was like a kind of guilty pleasure treat. I went to a greasy spoon, had a vegetarian fry up all day breakfast, which was amazing. And I bought I love a paper diary, and I love this one. It's kind of sparkly, but it's also turquoisey green, and it's squishy, it's sort of padded on the top, and I I've been writing things in it already. And it smells nice. It's got a new book smell. And it was from the works, and it was like £2. It was super, super cheap. It's a really cheap little treat, and I really enjoyed that, buying that. And I know my mum would approve because she loved anything stationery. And oh, remember I went for that mammogram and had not the greatest time. They said you'll hear from us in about 3 or 4 weeks, and then I got my letter back in about a week and a half, which worried me a bit. I saw the NHS logo on it because I thought, oh my god, why are they writing to me so quickly? They must have found something. And it wasn't. It was completely like, you know, it's just saying all clear, basically, nothing to worry about there. So that was brilliant. So I am glad that I went. I wouldn't book to go to the same clinic for my next one rolls around, which I think is in 5 years' time, something like 3 or 5 years, something like that. They'll send me a letter. So yeah, I'd go back to the hospital and have it done next time, which is where I had it done before, and it was completely painless and a surprisingly easy process. It depends very much, I think, on who does it. But I would say if you're finding it, I have a friend who told me about her experience, and she had quite a bad experience with one of her mammograms. I had a bad experience once as well, but I did say this time when she was hurting me, I told her, like, I didn't say, well, I didn't get all like aggy about it, but I did say, I did kind of go, okay, that's enough. Oh, that hurts now. And she backed off a bit on it. She didn't force it. The one where I had that was bad, they just kind of just went, well, that's tough luck, isn't it? But yeah, she did shove me a lot, like push, like, anyway. It's all fine in the end, and it's a very worthwhile thing to go and have done. But my recommendation for that is, if someone's hurting you, it's okay to tell them. It's okay to tell someone that it's not okay. And they will listen to you. 9 times out of 10, they will listen to you, I think. So, on that note, oh, I've got one, okay, one, honestly, just one tiny little thing to tell you. Only because I've shown it to you before, and I won't be getting it out again. I was going to do the Stephen West mystery knit along. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail about this because everything that needs to be said has been said. I knit the first clue and then saw the problem, the all too obvious problem, happily frogged that, re-knit a very heavily modified version, and then when it was quite, I don't want to say forcefully, but you know, it said like, no, you have to go with this version now. There had been a period when like heavily modified versions were okay, and then they weren't. And at that point, I just thought, oh, I can't unpick this and knit it again. I just can't make myself do it. And I would have been behind. And for me, a big part of the fun of it is keeping up with it. And there was no way. So I frogged mine, and I may at some point, I may go back to it at some point, because from what I've seen from other people's spoilers pictures, it's one of the nicest ones I've seen. One of the nicest designs he's done, I think, for quite a while on the MCals. Really lovely, but it's too soon for me. I can't re-knit that yarn anymore. So even though, and partly because that yarn's so beautiful and it's really special to me, I don't want to be knitting that yarn and feeling miffed about it. I want it to be something that I really enjoy. So that's on the naughty step for a bit. But I may come back to it, I may not. But I am definitely off now. I hope you've enjoyed sticking with me this long, and I hope to see you again soon. Please do the old like and subscribe thing, and if you could leave me a comment too, that would be super helpful. And also, if you could recommend me to other people who watch podcasts, that would be the best thing ever. So thanks very much for spending time with me, and I'm going to love you and leave you. Bye bye.